right.
Would be good.
So welcome to my platform and Annette's platform, wherever she's going to post this. But this is officially my first interview with anyone on my platform. Be yourself, and I just want to do this totally casually. This whole platform is just about interviewing ordinary people, and because all of us channel wisdom, and it's going to take all of us. So Annette and I wrote a book. She's in England, and we wrote a book, and it downloaded in 9 days, and a couple days later it was up on Amazon because our teams were telling us we had to get it published by November 1st. And there's just so much magic surrounding this whole thing. So yeah, she's showing the book cover there, and it's flashing in between the flowers and the book.
It's going in between the dimensions, just
I know!
like the book. I guess it's in this dimension. It won't let me go into the dimension.
So I'll just give a tiny little introduction of where the book came from, and then you can go into yours. So we've been having this chat with two other gals. One is in Texas, one is in Portland, and then there's Annette across the pond. And we've been chatting basically since January. And Annette is this fabulous artist. She did that picture that's behind you there. Unbelievable. So anyway, she does all this amazing kind of metaphysical kind of art. And she started doing animals one day, and she goes, "Oh, I'm shit at animals." And we're like, "Well, that would look really good in a children's book." So then she said, "I've always wanted to illustrate a children's book, but I'm not a writer because I'm dyslexic." And I said, "I have always wanted to write a children's book." Like, I remember being 5 years old, taking a walk with my uncle in Tennessee, and I started coming up with a narrative, and I was crossing a stream, and I kid you not, I was 5 years old, and I was like, I'm going to write children's books someday. And, it never happened. I'm not an artist. I'm really ADD, so I have trouble focusing. So anyway, we're just like, well, why don't we do this together? And to be honest, I don't even remember how it started. It just 9 days later, it popped out, and it was a very organic process back and forth. I wrote page 19 before we did anything because it just came through, and Annette had, okay, you go ahead and share your side of it now.
So I think it was a Tuesday. I started doing these fairies, and fairies aren't my thing. Anybody who follows me as LiAhRa333 on YouTube and on my Instagram, you can see my art if you go right to the beginning, how it's changed. And I bring my art back from dream time while we go in dreams, which is funny what the book's about. The book's about all these dream times. So I'd been in dream time, and I've been to the place where I go in dream time, and I always go to this place. It's like a magical Glen, and there's lots of my friends there, and I always bring back stories and pictures of what we call downloads. And all of a sudden I just got this packet of downloads, and it was a few of the pictures that I'd already done over the last year, and then there's all these new animals, especially this deer I'd just been spending dream time with. So I thought, this is a book. And then Paula came on with what she just said, and it's just like, we'll do this book, should we? And then before you know it, I'd finished 22 individual new unique pictures in a week. Well, it was about 4 days I did the pictures in, and then we were going back and forth. I was telling her the story that goes to the pictures, and she was getting her downloads and putting what she got from the pictures as well. And we came up with the story, and at one point, I think, if you come back on, Paula, so I can see you, there was a bit in the book where it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This book was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there was a picture of the deer, and I was quite happy with the picture of the deer. And I said, I would, because you wanted to fit the frog page in, that she downloaded the frog page, the story of the frog, which is
the frog literally just on that page, the frog just leaps into Edward's hand out of nowhere, and that's exactly how that page came. It's
and
like,
that is our logo. So it's like, well, I'd already numbered the pages, and being lazy, I thought, I'll have to go back and renumber all the pages now and take the pages off. And then my team were going, no, keep the deer in. So it was slotted right in the page where this deer bit of the book is. And I said to Paula one day, while she's always in the car when I'm phoning her, so she's in the car with her husband, and I'm saying about maybe we should take the deer out, and then you can say what happened while I find the picture.
Okay, so I just handed the phone to Stuart, and I was like, here, why don't you just talk to the girls until you get bored, because I need to drive. And so he turns the phone around the view, so that they can see where we're driving. And it was so fun because we were just, Annette's like, oh, it's like I'm taking a drive in America. And then this a truck went by with the word time on it, and we took a screen capture, so it's like time was frozen. And then we continued to drive and drive and drive, and it was just this beautiful kind of snowy day. And then the deer, is that what you wanted to talk about? Yeah, so then we get to this, I was like, I've always wanted to turn off here and see what's over here. I just want to go up this little, so we did. And there was a house, and then there were like 5 deer. And it was just magical. And that we just kind of kept sort of following them around. And and Annette got some great screen grabs of all the deer. So there were synchronicities like this. And then, one night I just trundled out of the house. I needed to take a drive. It was dark out. And while I'm driving and driving and driving, just to clear my head, I almost hit a deer. And then about 5 minutes later, this giant owl swooped right in front of the car. And that's the very first page I wrote, was this owl emerging from the nothingness. This phrase that came to me was the spaces between the things. So that's another interesting thing that's come through, is that Annette and I have been studying spiritual principles and just learning and knowing things in a big and very deep way. But we've been distilling them down into child's language, and really no more is needed. We don't need the gobbledygook, highly educated sounding terminology. It's just enough to know that magic is real.
Yeah, and it's like I'd already drawn the picture of the deer, and I'd already drawn the picture of the owl, and it's like every time she needed to get the inspiration for the picture I'd already done, the actual animal would show itself up in her life to give her the download. So it's like we're manifesting everybody, the universe was helping us manifest this story. Right. It was happening in real life, and it's like, this is what happens. This is what the book's about, is showing kids that the place they go in dream time, the place where we can still go because we still got our inner child that brings these creations down, is the place that's in the book, to show them how to get there, the tricks of what's going on, and how to bring that inspiration back here to create it in the real world. And the book is the physical manifestation of what we created in the real upstairs and brought it into the real world via the book. And magic things have been happening with people who've been getting the book and reading it.
Yes, and the actual children involved. So it's our children and our relatives, and we've all got grown children, except for there's a couple little ones. There's, I think, 4 little ones who are the ages of the children in the book. And I was channeling them as I was writing this. I just know we were collaborating in Dreamtime with these particular children. And then I would say to Annette, does this actually fit the personality of this child? And she'd be like, yep, that's exactly what he's like. And then, yeah, so it's a multi-dimensional collaboration. So yeah, let's I'm getting a hit to just talk a little bit about the book itself without giving too much away.
Yeah, I should get the picture. Hold on, let me get my background off because it is a bit distracting. Hold on. Virtual. Okay, so you just have to look at my work in progress. So, okay, you tell me what picture to show, and we'll talk about the principle of the book and why it's like it is. And
I'm gonna go run and grab one of my copies too.
Yeah. So here's the deer picture, and it's exactly, I'd drawn this, and this is exactly like the deer that was stood in front of Paula, one of them.
Okay, so
and it's the Rainbow Children in this book. And then we've got how many other books processing that we're downloading right now?
There's going to be a total of 7, and they're coming through very gradually. And I'm like a horse in the gate, and I'm like, come on, let's go. And I went into a meditation last night. That's the book that they want me to write next.
Yeah.
And it's just this whole yellow. So the night before, I'm just going to pop one picture on here. We'll talk about this in a second. But the last night of writing, I was a little sad because I'm like, oh, here's this magical bubble of this whole writing process with Annette is about to end. And so I just cozied myself up on the floor right next to my bed and got to typing, and then this whole additional page came through. Oh, so the reason I showed you that picture of the unicorn is that he takes them to a very special place. And it just happened in my mind as I began writing. It was like it was writing itself. And they go into this other world, and instead of the vast majority of, well, the entire book, see, this is how casual this interview is. I just want you to see the general colors. It's purple and green. It's crown and heart. Yes, crown and heart. And then this yellow thing came through. And I'm a Leo, and there were lions all over the place. And then after I came through with that, and then Annette produces this incredible picture of what I was seeing in my mind, and just conveyed the energy of it was like the Serengeti. We knew that was the next book. They were like, we want you to write this one next, because they go to the Golden Lands. And should we tell them what the Golden Lands actually is?
I was given there was 3 books coming out all at the same time, because we have to explain the children in the first book are new to go into the imagination land where all newbies go, and they meet up with lots of children in there. But the next books are going in, they're rainbows because they have rainbow bubbles. So the next books are going to be crystal children and indigo children, and another one, the rainbows, and they all go through portals in the land on a mission to different places within time. Paula and Shelby are channeling and downloading what she's going to tell you about. We're collaborating again for the Crystal Children book, and I'm doing the Rainbow one, which it might be just pictures, not a lot of words, because I want this to be able to be understood by children of all languages, the next book. And so you go into your book, because they're all happening at the same time, so I think we're trying to get them out all at the same time.
Yeah, I had to let the dogs out because they were being crazy.
So you're indigo children.
Well, and what's so cool is that between all of us, we all have kids of these different ages who are of these different waves of, indigos, crystals, and rainbows that came through. So it's almost like, well, it's not almost like it, I think it is, that we've been preparing for this our whole lives. And that's one reason it was so natural, and it just came through. So should I talk a little bit about LiAhRa? Okay, so those of you that are watching, a lot of you have heard of LiAhRa and the destruction of LiAhRa, the Orion Wars, the Gate Wars. It goes by many different names, the Lyran trauma. And it's, I guess, to sum it up for a child, I would say it's one of the very first places where God created people. It's like this, and this is the artwork above Annette that she drew this. So that's LiAhRa. That's the earth over there, and all the streams coming out from LiAhRa is the destruction of it, literally just being dustified.
Yeah. Sorry, the blue one is Tiamat. This is the energy of the mother goddess, the mother arc in the universe. And the one above her head is New Earth. And all this, down here is what's left of Tiamat, because it's the asteroid belt.
Yeah. So there's this galactic history, and the truth is we all came in with PTSD, and those of us from LiAhRa that came through Tiamat and the Pleiades and whatever our galactic history, and a lot of us are really beginning to remember that galactic history. And so here now we are the remnant of that on Earth, and there's a whole story around that too. And I think that we're kind of discovering the purpose of these books as we go, but we know that another purpose of them is to help people remember where they're from and to heal. And so our friend Shelby, who has 2 little boys, she was reading them the story, and as we were doing it, the first couple pages, and she's like, well, how do you like it? And he said, well, they need more cats. And that's what kind of brought about I don't know, that all just sort of flowed right into it. And he was obviously having a Lyran memory. He's like, okay, we need to bring in the whole Lyran thing. So what Shelby and I are doing is we are, at this moment, we're downloading memories before the trauma. I'm like, okay, what was LiAhRa like? And I'm getting the most amazing images, and they're holding back. They're not giving me all of it yet because it's not quite time yet. But we're getting images of like 100-foot waterfalls that are like water slides, and waves that carry you here and there, the connectedness of all nature. And I'm like, oh, this is like Avatar. Avatar must be a download of LiAhRa, the lion beings with the big wide nose bridge. So, and something that's personally healing. So we'll go here next. Something that's personally healing that I realized last night. So after Annette and I were doing this, she's like, I want to take a go at actually writing myself. And the whole time I was knowing, okay, my inner child likes to be told exactly what to do and then she can do it. But there's a part of her that's like, I want to do it myself. So I'm going to write a book, and Annette's we're going to sort of split up and pull in other collaborators under this umbrella of Cosmic Wild Child. So the book that I'm going to write about LiAhRa, it's going to heal the fact that I'm a Leo. And so I've been noticing my shadow side as a Leo, which is my tendency to control conversations and need to be in the spotlight. And I'm like, oh my God, I do have the Leo shadow. But anyway, I'm becoming the lion in a brand new way. And I'm like, oh, that's why I'm a Leo, is because I've had resistance to remembering the trauma, to remembering how wonderful it was, because it's painful, but you have to go back and heal it before you can move forward. So that's another layer of, and I hadn't even shared that with Annette yet, that, oh, I'm supposed to write this because I'm healing my Leo.
Yeah. And so because this like Paula's writing the LiAhRa trauma and the golden book, because we're trying to do it because we're getting them all at once, we're trying to do the best that we can. So I've already started on the next two books with the images, because I get the images first and then I get the story with it, the download that comes with it. Because I'm an artist, I'll see the whole scene, and I'll just take a inward photograph, and I'll bring that, and that will be the basis for the whole story. Like this photograph here is the first page for all three books. This is the children, the crystals, the rainbows, and the children all meet together, and they go through different portals, these different waterfalls, and they go different places. So we're starting the next three books on this with the same page. And then Paula's children, the indigos, will go off to LiAhRa. The crystals are going to go off to where they're going to a water world, to Tiamat, via a waterfall, but they're going to go via they have to go and pick up a guide. So they go through the portal, they go somewhere on earth, and they pick up some more children that take them as a guide from their ancestry. So the first book, the rainbows, that I'm doing, I'm trying not to put any writing in it. It's going to be a picture book only, because I want it to be open to be interpreted by the child itself. So if all ages can read it and all languages can read it. So my children are the four youngest children, the rainbows. They go through this waterfall, and it takes them to the Arctic Circle in Alaska, and they meet up with an Indian child, and they go to the tribe, and then they go through she takes them to the portal with her animal spirit guides. She tells them about the Hopi prophecy, the legend of the rainbow children, and they go through there, and they time travel into the past, and they end up in Antarctica of the past, and they meet the ancient ones, the ancient builder race, who are the first people from LiAhRa that step foot on this planet. And so that's the lead up to that. And the middle book, they're going to Tiamat via, I think that we said they were going to go to Peru and then to India to meet up with children from those two cultures, because they mix up the Incans, the Aztecs, and the Indian children. Take them through, I think there's a waterfall in Shangri-La, and they go to the inner earth, and via the inner earth they end up in the past in Tiamat and meet the children that were evacuated from LiAhRa to Tiamat. So it's linking all the books, all the history together by these rainbow children from all around the world in a story that children can understand. It's our true galactic history told to children, so when they're starting to remember, because a lot of them do remember, and it's to remind them that what they're seeing in dream time is real, because one of our children readers has already said that is just like my dreams. So,
Uh,
and it's the adults that are reading the book. So that's the next series, and there's a lot more to go on about the new Earth and stuff, but that's a teaser.
it's a teaser and it's so multidimensional. And I just want to throw in here, my daughter and I have known for a while that her name is a cosmic joke, and we look at each other and just laugh hysterically. And she's in Portland, and when we're in public, people actually stop and stare because we're starting to look more and more and more and more alike. Anyway, her name is Crystal Indigo, and I named her that before I knew anything about that. Her dad and I were Christians and didn't, none of that new agey stuff. I didn't know that terminology. So anyway, she's a bridge between the crystals and the indigos, and having her authentic journey up in Portland, which is also where Shelby is, who is the mother of the two little boys that said there need to be more cats in the book. And yeah, and I just want to say too how wildly interconnected this is. And right now as we speak, we're in this process where it is unfolding and revealing itself to us. And like, for example, last night we just got talking about native tribes, indigenous peoples all over the planet, all the red people, and we started just naming the different tribes all around. And I last night, and again, I haven't told Annette any of this, but I found myself settling down listening to a Lakota guy talking for like an hour. And then I listened to Clifford Mahooty, whom I've met. He's a Zuni elder. And I just settled down into this cradle of energy of him talking about everything. And he was talking about one of the prophecies was lands coming up through, and it sounded like the ground, not the ocean, but buried cities coming up through.
And maybe the children that read the books, because I was told very clearly in download that the way that the children, the rainbow children, are going to manifest the new Earth is by not just this book, by other people's artwork, other people's downloads. The children, not us, are going to manifest the new world and put the new ideas and what they want the world to be like. We're just given the blueprint of how to do it. We're just the tools. And we were talking about the Native Americans, and I was thinking about my Peruvian DNA, not my soul lineage. And today I decided to go across to the book cycle in Orrell in Lancashire, where they ship out all their books to African children every couple of months, and then you put a donation and you get books. So I donated 5 of these books, and the lady that was in there I've never met before, but she's a light worker and spiritual, and she's got Peruvian ancestry, and it's just like, oh my god, a Peruvian ancestor soul group has come to get the books. And she's spiritual, she's taken them to her spiritual. So that's just like, and 333, LiAhRa 333, and 3s are very special to her. So it's just a synchronicity after synchronicity with this book in post-production and promoting this book. And my team has said, don't worry about the promotion and about giving the books away, because I've given so many away to the right people, that the right people will get these books and they'll go into the right hands. I mean, these books end up in Africa with children. That's why it's so incredible that I wanted to do a picture book for one of them, so they could read, and then when they got into the story, they could learn English from our books. And they probably desperately need to know some compassion, some of these children who get these books, and know there's people who get them, they might be traumatized because of their family life or their environmental life, and it's given those children, all the countries, the inspiration, the power to create the new world with their imaginations, to manifest it as a one tribe. And that's what they told me this book's all about. And it's not about money. So if you see me promoting, it's because we know how important these books are going to be. And if you want to add to it and you're getting some downloads, and whatever we've made is available to as many people as possible. It is available on Amazon. I'm just going to say that. And Kindle. But if you contact me or Paula privately, and you've watched this video, we'll give you a code, Cosmic Wild Child Starlight. If you say Cosmic Wild Child Starlight, and we will get you a copy.
in your
to
private communication to
in a
us
private communication. We will let
via
you have.
via messenger or
However, if they follow us, they
Twitter.
they're watching this on YouTube. You know, all
Right.
our links will be below. So if you feel like £11 is beyond your budget, but you do really like a book, you know, contact
And
one
it's
of me or Paula. Yeah,
$14 over here.
yeah. So if you're in America, contact Paula. If you're in England, contact me, because we can get free. We can order it directly and send it to you. Probably free shipping if we can get that to you. As you know, we want all kids to be able to read our books. So it's, you know, I just want to put that, and then we'll put all the links below the videos and Paula's channel and on my LiAhRa 333 channel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's one. Oh, we have a Facebook page for the book. And if you read the book and you have some kind of download or healing experience, we would love to hear about it. And I just want to make we'll see how brief this mention will be, but while Annette and I were writing this book, we were like, there was this one day where we had like 3 conversations in one day, and we started out, and all of a sudden I burst into tears. And I was just like, I've never had the freedom to write and create like this and have it received with no judgment. And something is healing. And I was just sobbing because of this freedom that my inner child had to create and run with my ideas. And then I was like, whoa, the whole dysfunctional family background came up. And then later that day, you kind of had your falling apart moment and crying. And then the reverberation, it continued. There were other key days where all of a sudden we just would have this massive healing and rearrangement of who we are on this planet and healing our own inner child. And I have to say, it was like getting my cage rattled at times. It was so powerful. But we've come out on the other side with such a sense of, go ahead.
I think about you bringing up when I did the golden page, and I wanted, well, my team had said, no, this is for Paula to write. You really did not want to go there. You didn't want to pick that scab of that wound, but my team was going, no, she's got to write that book. That's for healing for the LiAhRa trauma.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been dealing with all the layers of resistance to that, and I'm kind of going around the trauma at this moment and just going into, well, you know, the beauty of it. And there's one phrase, one of the animal guides in this book gives one of the children some advice, because they're standing there and all of a sudden they get a picture of a waterfall. And there's this telepathic communication going on, and I think it's the owl that says, you will learn to trust what comes into your mind. And so like we're partly channeling this and partly putting our own just spiritual experience and know-how into it. But yeah, that's how it's being written, things are coming into our minds and we're just trusting the process. Yeah, and we're going to get Shelby to do some art too. She's a fabulous artist, and so this whole arena is a freedom of it's about healing the inner child. And what you said is just so articulate about this is our offering to this. So we used to go on a lot of missions at night, and at one point they told me to hang up my warrior garb, and I was so disoriented for an entire month. I don't even know what to call that process. It was grief, disorientation. What do? I have been a warrior for so many, 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 like eons. And they're like, nope, it's not about that anymore. It's about creating the new. And they said, your new mission is going to be about being connected to the earth. And here we are. This book pops out, and we're handing it to the next generation to say,
this is your guideline. This is what we did in Dreamtime. This is because we're in the book, whereas our inner child's in the book, and all the children and all the characters are based on real people that we know, and passing the gauntlet onto the lower generations below us and say, okay, now go with it, run with it. There's the instructions. That's what you need to do. Create this world together as bridging all the divide for the rainbow bridge just to the crystals to the rainbows to the indigos. I don't class myself as any of them because I class myself as crystal rainbow, but I travel on indigo light. I'm all of them wrapped into one. I've gone through all those layers because I can be in a rainbow, I can be a crystal, and I can be an indigo warrior. But it's just, but I don't really class ourselves as myself as a group. I'm all of them, but we're the ones saying, no, come on, this is because maybe the parents are asleep, and this book will be read by the parents to the children, and the children are going, look, mum, I told you this is real. And it's waking the parents up and getting the parents to understand the children and giving the adults a download, not the children. So it's really not so much for the children because they get it. It's just confirming for them what they're seeing in Dreamtime is real. Right. And it's acknowledgement of the parents that, maybe this is real. Somebody's actually written a book about it, and I should listen to my children a little bit more. So it's reversing roles here. So the children will be teaching the mums something about them, and the parents will be waking up, because it's like, grandparents reading this to the children, it will help them. They've been through war trauma and stuff, let alone what us as souls have been through. So I think it's a really good bridging book, and I would love if your children have got the book and they've drawn that picture, and I want everybody who buys the book, if their children have coloured in the colouring in page,
let's show them that real quick.
To send us it to our Cosmic Wild Child book on Facebook, and we will get the children, Harrison and Jaden, to pick the two of the best, and they'll get a free copy of the book. They'll get a free copy. So I don't know. We'll send them another copy if they've drawn on the book, so they can colour it in again. I don't know. We'll do a signed book for them. What do you think, Paula?
Oh, that sounds great. And maybe a book to give away to a friend.
Yeah, a book to give away to a friend for Christmas that you maybe think needs to wake up. Well, the parents need to wake up.
Yeah, they need some healing. Yeah, and the healing may the what comes up first may surprise you. We know of an adult that was reading to their children recently, and his throat chakra closed up and he began to cough, and so it's like, oh, that's about his inner child needing to come through, or whatever. It may bring up the resistance or what needs to be healed.
Yeah, because they speak the words as well that Paula channeled through our team, and the pictures, those two combined and he's having to speak the words out loud to his children. He's speaking truth into the world, and of course it's going to activate his throat chakra.
Yeah, right.
It's a magical book.
It truly is. And my guides are asking me to ask you this question, and if you don't want to answer, no worries, but the name LiAhRa.
Oh, do you want to know where LiAhRa came from?
Yes.
Okay, so the place that we've wrote about in the book and drawn, well, there's another place that I used to go to, this place when I was little, and because I didn't think grown-ups understood me, my family didn't really understand me, and I could go to this world just by closing my eyes. I was always in this world, but I traveled the length and breadth of this inner world of mine, and there's a place there where you can meet your extraterrestrial family, because eventually you graduate from the Glen and you go somewhere else. And I kept saying, they'd call me Nettie, and I'd go, that doesn't resonate with me, that's not my name, even though it's what my family called me. And they said, well, we don't know your name. And I said, well, what are you going to call me? If I don't want to be called Nettie, because that's the name my mum and dad gave me, it's not my name. And they said, well, we don't know your name, we can't read your file. They could never read my file, so they just called me Enigma, because I'd just pop anytime I liked onto the ships and anywhere I wanted, and they go and they read your energy and they read your stream, but I was always a closed book to them. They could never read me, but I could read them. It's like I'd got extra protection and firewall on. And eventually, a few years ago, I managed to get my download. I had to hack it myself, and I had a black cube storage space on the ship. So you might hear these 12 by 12 little black cubes, and it's made out of dark matter, which holds light inside it. It's what it's made out of, antimatter. And apparently I'd spent a long time after my Peruvian lifetime, the first Peruvian LiAhRans back in the first civilization, they took me out and put me in this cube, and I stayed in this cube learning. And these cubes are soul containers, and you learn from everybody on the ship. And when I decided to be incarnated on Earth, I closed my box off so nobody could access my box without my permission. So nobody knew anything about me. They just knew I come on the ship. And when I accessed my box, I got my name, which was in a vibration. And it wasn't words. It comes out as a color and a sound. Colors and sound hit me, and it sounded like LiAhRa. So, and it was in colours and sounds. So, and when I said it out loud and thought this, they were going, "Oh, LiAhRa, that's you, LiAhRa." So I was going, "Well, what does this mean?" And they said, "Li means small, little. Ah is heart. It's the sound of your heart. Ah, and Ra is the family of light. So I'm the little heart family of light, and that's my name. Little, like little heart, family of light." So LiAhRa. If anything that's got Ra in the end. In English, it means Royal Architects, Family of Light. Ah is the sound of your heart, and Li is little heart light, basically. And that's my name. That's what my name means. Yeah. So, and I prefer 333 means I was bridging 3 dimensions. I had a me in 3 dimensions, 3D Earths, and when you merge them, it makes something different. So there's 3 me's, and now there's only 1 me.
Because the 3 timelines merged. Mm-hmm. I remember one time I was doing a Facebook Live. So the way that LiAhRa, the way that Annette and I connected is I'd heard an interview of hers in 2016. Go and listen to it. Maybe we'll link that too, but it's Alexandra Metters with Galactic Connections. And it was like September of 2016, I think. Anyway, it was fantastic. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, she's like my favorite person in the world. And then my business partner at the time, Laura, contacted you. And I was like, what? You just contacted her? And they had a little back and forth. And then Annette came onto one of my Facebook Lives. So I do these lives on Facebook, and I do a card spread because I do the Destiny cards, which is just regular playing cards. And and this is a picture that Annette drew, or LiAhRa drew.
Yeah, I'll show them my
higher self.
I'm going to show them my synchronicity while you're telling the story of why I went onto your live.
Right, okay. And one of the questions, so I drew a card for her. You can just request a card, and then I read it for you and tune in to, what that card means for you. And I got the 3 of Hearts for her at one point, and I was like, what's going on with this? What's this 3? And then she just typed in 3 timelines. She's working on. So that's what it's like. Oh, you were talking about that back then.
Sorry, I had to get a book. That's why I disappeared my camera. So the reason I went on, I'd met Laura. I'd done a session when I was doing sessions back then, just connecting some dots up for people. And I went to the book cycle across the road, and I don't know why, because it's one of my favourite films. Not the first one, 2001, but 2010. Fell off the shelf. And funny enough, the lady that I met today, the Peruvian lady that I met today, we were talking about that book place. I said, it's funny, this place, it must be haunted. I said, books are always flying off the shelf in front of me. She goes, yeah, it happens to me too. There is a spirit in here, protects the library and gives the right books to people. But this jumped out in front of me. So I just thought, well, I'll read the book because I've not read the book before. And I decided to start reading the book, and I got getting really engrossed in it. And there is a character in here called Paul Kruger, and then that triggered something in me, and I remember seeing something that maybe Laura had posted about Paula Kruger, and I thought, really, I should maybe go on. And you just started a live, and that's what I commented on. I think I messaged you, oh my God, you're in my book that I'm reading. Oh God,
and when did you?
Child of the Stars.
Was that just yesterday or today, talking to the Peruvian lady that book flew off the shelf?
No, today was a lady that was telling me about the spirit in the library that moves books around. It was last year that this book jumped off the shelf, and I decided to read it. I'm just trying to find the first mention of the character in here called Paul Kruger, and it's just like 1A away from you.
That is
and it's
so
like,
great.
I'm an A, you're an A. Paula Kruger. And it's like, Paul
Right.
Kruger, how obvious can the universe be sometimes?
I know.
It's like I said
Oh,
today, oh,
and that brings
thanks,
up
universe.
one other connection. So those of you who are familiar with that name, Paul Kruger, know that he's a South African. He's famous in South Africa, and they have a Paul Kruger National Park. And the only reason I know that, and I was explaining, this came up one day in one of our chats, is that I dated a guy named Ernie from Durban, South Africa. And Annette also dated a guy named Ernie from Durban, South Africa. And he wasn't the same guy, but okay, so I asked my team last night, I was like, okay, so what is this similarity? Because we have tons of these little things that weird similarities. And so I asked them, so what is the deal with that? Were we the same person at one point? And they said, twins.
Mm.
Well,
Yes.
that's probably enough for now. We should probably wrap it up. I mean, we could go on, and I think that we will probably have another interview at some point, especially as we progress with
but
the
we just
publishing
wanted
process.
we just wanted to know that the book's out there on Amazon and Kindle and Amazon.co.uk and Amazon.com. We've put all the links below. I'm on Instagram. We've both got Twitter now, and I'm using my real name, Annette Lemaire, on Twitter. And although my Instagram's still LiAhRa333 because my spiritual works if you see LiAhRa, it's my spiritual work, and if you see anything to do with my art of the book, it'll be my real name, Annette. So, and we'll put all the links below these videos on Paula's channel. So if you're not subscribed to Paula, the links below, go and subscribe and support. I mean, if you can't get the book and you just want the book, I'm sure that somebody with the universe, if you put a request, but just support us by sharing and following and liking. That is enough. And, you know, the universe will provide. If you're meant to get a book, you will get a book.
Exactly. It's more important to us that you get the book than that you buy a book. So buy it if you like. It's pretty affordable, but we want to make sure that you get it if you really want it. So we'll get it to you one way or the other. So yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody, and welcome to my Be Yourself channel. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.